Oh, completely. I mean, it's completely different to doing a brand ambassador job anywhere else in the world. You know, you normally just used to turn up and to do a whiskey tasting, for example. The glass, you've got Glencairn glasses, everything's there laid out, everything's poured. You know, I've turned up at an event with guests walking through the door at 6:30 and we don't even have any stock, and it's our own stock and you can't get it out of your own warehouse. You know, there's all these kind of things, and you know, you're doing a cocktail training, you say, I need a litre of lime juice, and they say, well, I've got lemon juice, and it's like, well, you know, it's kind of different. You know, there's all these kind of different things that you don't really know until once you get on the ground, and nothing's ever done with malice. That's the thing. It's all about education, and that then you kind of realize, you kind of, once you get your kind of Western kind of bartender hat off, and you kind of go, okay, no one actually knows. No one's been taught. This is actually why I'm here. It's not necessarily to teach them how to make the perfect Tommy's margarita. It's about say, look, this is a lemon, this is a lime, these are the differences. This is what happens if you substitute one thing for another. You know, and you don't realize how much education is lacking until you come here. And the things we take for granted is what you kind of forget very quickly.
Guys just order that because there's no proper mixology into it. The Kenyan scenario is growing because the bartender, the bar academies that we have are trying to train the people just to get them to a good level. Flair is also coming up really fast. In Nairobi, the next 1 year, 2 years it'll be a cocktail destination to visit. The nightlife in Nairobi is really improving, and the last 2 years we've had an influx of bars coming up. Very, very good bars coming up in terms of cocktails. The cocktail culture is growing. And just last week, but1, we had the cocktail festival, which was an amazing event. It was a success. Basically, we came up with this academy to help bartenders. You know, this is a home of trainings for comparative brands. At the moment, you're running a competition of bartenders. So this is where we do the masterclass on all the brands that we have. We are very hospitable, because that's from deep down, from where we are brought up. We are that hospitable people. So visit Nairobi, visit Kenya, and the nightlife is good.
Space in this town is not easy. It's not easy, and it's also not just finding it. Paying, you know, like rent is also very expensive. So we have actually moved 3 times. So this is our 3rd.
Are you here to stay?
I'm here to stay because my wish would be to make this place as big as possible. Actually, most colleges run with the whole floor. Right now we are 3/4 of our floor.
So soon it'll be 4 quarters.
Yeah, we'll be 4 quarters soon. I'm praying because I would want to take the whole of this floor, and then you know, we are at the heart of Nairobi, so that I'm okay with. Yes, it's
very accessible.
Very accessible.
I did find it quite easy to come.
Because you know, like these guys stay in estates around the city. So if somebody
all the traffic comes in.
That's
all the
actually,
transport.
We had Secondly, I have this idea of thinking that when you make them mixologists by coming to train here, they see this all the time, so they don't have that last of, let me test this, how would this be like? Because all the time they'll be making cocktails, they'll be testing to see if it's okay. They'll see this all the time, then they get used to them and like, oh, okay.
At a young age, you're excited when you see a bottle, and you're like, wow, is that for me?
Yeah.
Can I drink this?
Yeah.
But now when you're surrounded and you're in that environment where you have a variety, you build a respect.
Every single day you have this and you're seeing them and like, oh, okay. Now you get friendly with them and you're like,
you mature.
Yeah.
You mature and you build up a respect for the alcohol.
Yes. And again, when they come here, we try to, train them into what the industry expects.
Yeah, and needs.
Yes.
Yeah.
The etiquette, the behavior, the do's and the don'ts, what the owners who have invested in the bars expect from you as an employee, and every little thing that, the parents would think that we're not talking about.
It sounds like you need to bring the parents in and train them right up.
At one point, someone mentioned that to me and said, now what you need to do, every time you have an intake, when you've already gotten the students, bring the parents as well, educate them.
Yeah.
Right, the beginnings, the humble beginnings. When I was a student in the UK, I did my time in pubs, a couple of bars here and there. And I'd say that the whole cocktail thing in earnest, it started in a place called the Brass Monkey in Nottingham, many moons ago. And I would say of that venue, the concept of working as a family, really sort of, it struck a chord with me, because it was a great, fantastic team, really super cute little cocktail bar in a sort of high-end part of Nottingham. And I think that was the jump off, And then it was only a few months later after that, I was sort of handing out CVs in Manchester, and I saw this one place. I thought to myself, you know what, I'm gonna work in there, because it had the right look, it was super professional, It was the bar team at the time was kind of like the Rat Pack. I haven't seen a bar team like that again. Since that was a long time ago. They're very, very talented. And as a 21-year-old, like it was kind of like heaven. It was where all the footballers used to come and drink. So the whole of Manchester United used to drink in this place, and Posh and Becks, of course. And, that whole thing, and musicians and celebrity chefs and everything. And I think professionally, like really sort of picking apart the art form, and really being humbled by being told that we know that you are the manager of the last place, we didn't hear you're a waiter. So starting again was that was the best thing that ever happened to me, And climbed the ranks, did waiter, did bar back, which is a very key, important position I think in life. It's one of those positions I think in food and beverage that isn't spoken about enough in the global community.
Absolutely.
Because
totally agree.
Bar back is something I'd like my own children to do. And so I did my time, and then eventually earned my stripes and ended up in the bar at the Sugar Lounge in Manchester.
Awesome.
In the Deansgate Locks, and it was a good time, super creative. It was I think that Manchester was always fighting for its place on the mixology scene in the UK. It was always number 2 or 3 behind London. London continues to be this scion of creativity and interior design style on the planet, not just in the UK. So we worked hard, we worked very, very hard. It was an amazing time. And after I left the Sugar Lounge, I worked in a place called the Rossetti for a little while, which was pretty cool. It's a boutique hotel. So I went and did an opening for them. So that was a great experience doing an opening. That was good, that was an awesome time. And went back to the Sugar Lounge for a very short stint before traveling back home, And when I got back to Kenya, I want to say it was sort of late 2003, perhaps early 2004, something along those lines. And so there was nothing. There was absolutely nothing. You know, our back, forget our speed rail. Our back bar was, you know, a grand total of like Smirnoff, Gilbey's, Gordon's gin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you were really fancy, you had Bombay.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So, you know, I look like that. I look like that evangelist, that sort of mixology. I was just walking around with my cocktail shaker, going, "Hey guys, we can make cocktails in here and make money in your bar." And people looking at me like,
What's going on?
Like what? Mixer who? Mixer what? You know? What do you mean cocktails? Yeah, we do this thing called tequila sunrise. And I was just like, kill me now. You know? Yeah, my guy makes a great Long Island iced tea. You know? It's frothing at the mouth, shriveling up. You know?
Yeah.
And slowly, I'd say, I think it was 2004, around about February. I started in a small place in the village market, and they then opened a club. You know, and that's kind of where the idea took off. The idea, of free pouring bartenders, because this is like a gigantic no-no in a highly controlled food and beverage like market. You know, that's not traditionally very generous. It's not traditionally super creative, or you know, or has any touch of flair.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of like the you know, the light beginnings of the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd say in earnest in June 2005, I was part of the design team and opened and ran a place called the Mercury Lounge, which in 2005 was it.
Yeah, we heard of this place.
Yeah. That was the mothership. Place to be, you know, best tapas chef I've ever come across, you know. Best cocktails in the whole of East Africa.
Yeah.
And it was an amazing time, you know, because there was a great designer on board, and I felt like I was redoing the Sugar Lounge. Huh? Great designer, great team, and like, you know, the highest echelons of everything in food and beverage in one place, you know. So that was awesome. And I think one of the things I'd like to share about that was the amount of time it took to bring the guys up to speed.
Yeah.
You know, the people who owned the Sugar Lounge the Mercury Lounge at the time owned Java. You know,
the coffee.
Coffee. You know. Yeah. So we spent, this is myself and the team, we spent a month in the roastery, and they built us like a blockboard bar, and we spent a month learning how to pour and shake.
Wow.
Yeah, like a month. I think that month there was very, very important for mixology in Kenya.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the guys who came out of that training were solid.
Yeah.
Could have worked anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were quick, they were professional, they were at the beginning stages of their creativity. You know? So that was a very powerful time for mixology, and I think that a lot of people in mixology in Kenya today come from those four people. You know, come from the hands of those four people, one way or the other.
balance of a cocktail, for me, is super important. Because like I was explaining, everyone's looking at this stuff on Instagram. I can do that, and they put it all together, and it's either really sour or really sweet, fall apart at the seams. Like, I mean, the mojitos that they are making in Dar is just god awful. And you're like, this is insane. So what I've done is, from that, I've created formulas for each category. So then we have this course that you actually learn the formulas. Do I have that in my bag? This is my basic bartending program for Grometi Lodge. So you learn career options, where's your job going? Stop thinking that you're just a bartender. The word just and bartender don't go together.
That's for sure.
Then it goes into the roles of bartender, all of the skills you're going to develop. Then it goes into bartending body language. And then it goes into basic equipment and making techniques, really. And Tanzania just isn't getting it. We're not getting the attention. We're not welcoming in brands. We're not opening our doors to anyone.
And where does that stem from? Does that stem from the government?
Essentially, I mean, the underlying tone of our country at the moment is
have fun but not too much fun. So it's really hard to open these doors for bartenders and junior tenders that they don't put value to their jobs anymore. I mean, when I first started, right, I started work with a buddy. We finished work at like 4, standard. And then you'd wake up at 7 a.m., empty suitcase, get dressed in a suit, and leave the house. It's like, what? Where are you going? What are you doing? It's like, I've got to make it look like I have a real job. I was like, my good lord, like that you are. What are you up against if that's the mindset of a bartender? Like, I need to wake up at 7 and make it look like I have a real job. So that's what I've been up against for the last 9 years. It's changing. Now people do take pride in what they do. But now it comes knowledge. And even when they do come to me and say, right, so realistically, what am I looking at to open a very basic bar? You're looking at about 15 mil, which is about 7.5 grand. You could rent a small space, small back bar, and make nice drinks for people, But then you're looking at all of the different licenses that you need in Tanzania. There's 53 different licenses that you need to open a business. And then there's all the little backhanders because someone's going to come in and tell you that step's too high. And it's insane, the efforts that these young bartenders have to try and go through. Of course they're not going to open their own bar.
Well, yeah, I mean, you take what we've done with World Class, where the standard's gone from 4 years ago when we launched to where it's gone now. There are guys creating incredible drinks. We've had the same judges all the way through. You met Brian earlier this week. So Brian's been on that journey with us, and he's been going, I cannot believe that I'm sat in, well, actually it was a car park in our office where we built this whole arena. He says, I can't believe I'm sat in Nairobi drinking these cocktails. He says, if I close my eyes, I could be in the Artesian, I could be in the Connaught, I could be in Dead Rabbit. And that's what I'm trying to impress upon the guys here. It's like, you guys are now making these drinks. You're doing a drink that this could get you a job in a top cocktail bar, in one of the 50 best bars around the world. It's my job to now shout about it and let people know. And what I'm most passionate about is telling people, the talent is here.
Yeah.
The talent is in Kenya. Maybe, as we've said, the tools and the resources might not be, but the thirst for knowledge, the willingness to create great drinks is here.
Yeah.
And it's up for programs like World Class, and hopefully if the other brands get on board with their global platforms as well, that we can shout about, not just in Kenya, across East Africa, across Africa itself, that the guys are here. Let's talk about them.
Say first and foremost, I've done 2 bartender sessions here, one this year and one last year. So over 250 people came to those sessions.
Amazing.
And spent 4 hours in our company. And you do your mentorship and you do your training, but then they want to hang out. They want we have lunch. They're really, really keen to know what's happening, you know, in a broader sense of the global bartending industry. We're mentoring this year on wellness and sustainability. We're mentoring this year on some really kind of like some really interesting talking points about whiskey. That's the level that bartenders are at here. And there's people doing really, really good things, starting to be recognized on a global level as well. Nairobi itself has incredible Kenyan hospitality as well. So they're starting from that base of knowing how to host, and they're now sort of developing this kind of great cocktail culture as well. So I've always loved the place. Another big party tonight, we're bringing 21-year-old Glenfiddich to the market for the first time.
Amazing.
So obviously it's a whiskey that's out there, you know, in the world, but it's the first time we're bringing something, you know, of this kind of like mature age and, you know, price, you know, into a market like this. But it reflects, you know, what's happening here. People are drinking more, better. Single malts are really, really flying here. We're a leader in this market, you know, in that leadership position. We want to be able to bring in whiskies that are really going to excite people in here. So.
Basically, I worked in bars for probably 7 or 8 years. When I was in the UK, that's while I was studying there. That's why I first got exposed to the craft. I came back to Kenya and I met people who I'm sure you've met today as well, who either inspired me, motivated me, you know, believed in me, gave me support. So I actually worked independently by myself. I had my own company. So I would offer consultancy services, do events, training, a lot of training actually. And then I just built relationships with a lot of the on-trade accounts. That's the best bars, nightclubs, restaurants, hotels. So the trend leading accounts. So the opportunity wasn't actually there with William Grant. I basically approached them. We started a contract. We worked together for 1 year, and I joined them directly 2 years ago. So
they're happy with the results.
Yeah, I hope so. But you know, it's a very, like when I was serious, it's very different from what it was when we started before. William Grant and Sons had no presence in East Africa 5 years ago. So there was no one directly working for the business in East Africa.
And they're on the forefront, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, so the distributor is mostly the person who would be engaging with our trade partners, with our accounts. But I think the way that Africa is going, especially Kenya, you need to have people on the ground here. So our team is actually, I think we're 4 or 5, I don't know. I think we've got more coming as well very, very soon. So we've got roles that we've advertised for. We know that it's a key market for us, especially within this region. It's one of those places where consumers are quite exposed, they're quite demanding, they always want something new and exciting, they always want great experiences. So they're quite concerned about drinking better and not just drinking in the first place. They love their cocktail culture as well, they love their bottle culture. So for us it's great to have Glenfiddich and the rest of the portfolio having a face here, not just myself but the rest of the people that I work with. So it's been a fantastic ride so far.
Like the community here, since we've arrived, we've noticed that everybody seems to know everybody. It seems to be a small community, even though it's a big city. I would definitely categorize this as a big city. But the community seems so like closely knit.
The bar community?
Yeah.
Definitely. Irrespective of whether we're competitors or not, the funny thing is you'll probably notice that people have either worked with each other directly or maybe they've collaborated on different projects, or they've moved from one house to the other in terms of the brand owners. But the community is quite small. Everyone knows each other very well. And I think it's because we tend to run into each other out and about as well. So it's definitely also because people don't really just view themselves as working directly for one brand. They're all contributing towards the wider growth of the industry in general. So you know, the thing is, if you just grow your portfolio and nothing else, it doesn't really make as much of an impact as growing the wider audience. You want to affect as many people as possible. Definitely. And I think the best thing is when you look at Nairobi, I mean, even just right now, we're in a new hotel that wasn't here 2 or 3 years ago. There's a huge surplus of new bars, new menus, new concepts, fantastic bartenders. The proficiency, the technical ability of some of the bartenders out there is epic nowadays. So it's a lot more recognized. But the thing I realized is, you know, probably within Nairobi there's probably only 1 or 2 bar schools, of which you've probably gone to one and you've met.
We've been to both.
You've been to 2. So there's probably 2. And the thing is, majority of bartenders would either start their education there or have an intermittent point where they get some education there.
Yeah.
But your majority of what you learn is by the people who you work around.
Yeah.
So the whole aspect of it being a collective community, people talking to each other, sharing ideas,
Yeah.
is how a lot of people will learn and develop their trade.
Yeah.
So that's why the community is quite close as well. So yes, we compete, but positively.
Well, I know you've got an event to look after upstairs, so we'll close it up. But what I want to ask you is just, for people that have never been to Nairobi or Kenya, you
Yes.
know, from the outside world, it can be a scary place.
Yeah.
However, since I've landed on the ground here, it has been the polar opposite. People
Yeah.
have been extremely friendly.
Yeah.
We've walked around, everyone's high-fiving, shaking hands. It's almost like we're in the
Celebrities.
Caribbean. Yeah.
Yes.
So, what would you say to people that haven't been to Kenya before or Nairobi?
I mean, I think I understand the prospect of going somewhere that you've never been before. It's always going to be a bit. There's always something that someone can say that might make you fearful about coming somewhere. I think the best thing is actually just exactly what you said. Being surprised when you come and meet the people, you get to know the culture. People are very receptive, and I think if you work in our industry, you just have to come and see it for yourself.
Yeah.
The way the nightlife has changed, it's evolved, it's developed. I mean, I think within East Africa, I'd put us ahead of a few other countries without pointing fingers or naming names or anything. But I'd say that it's really pushing, and it's grown aggressive, and it's grown very, very well. So I mean, always take things from your own eyes. Yeah. So always do things with your own hands. Come and see exactly what's happening, and you'd not regret it. Definitely. I know
Like a
people
leap of
who've
faith.
come. Exactly.
Go on an adventure.
Yes, I've seen people who've actually come here and not left.
Yeah.
Plenty of
Actually, we
people.
only spoke to someone today. He said he visited and he's been here
Yeah.
12 years.
Came with one suitcase and he's got a family here now.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
a very typical story to find. So Kenya is one of those places in Africa that it's very hard to let go of.
Yeah.
So Karibu Kenya.
Karibu Kenya, which means
Cheers.
welcome to Kenya.
Cheers.
Thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Cheers.
Enjoy your event.
You too.
I mean, it's been a hell of a journey for bartenders entering world class. We launched it 4 years ago. We've done like 4 years worth of world class, and I think from this year the obvious success story is our contestant, our Kenyan champion, came 11th in the world at the global finals in Berlin.
Huge.
It's massive. I mean, not just for him himself, but for the actual wider community, because guys now kind of seeing that if they apply their trade and they work hard, and we can put them on this global platform, this job that is seen as just a minor job, especially still here in Kenya, you're just a bartender, is now putting on this global platform, and it can literally change your life. You know, guys are getting job offers from all around the world through world class, which is pretty phenomenal. Yeah.
And if he can do it, I can do it sort of mentality
Exactly,
as well.
yeah. I mean, the guy that won it this year, Patrick, is the best example for everything.
Yeah.
He came to our launch of our finals this year, said, I've watched all 3 previous years and I didn't enter. I wanted to see where I was. I wanted to see what I needed to work on, and this is the first year. And he literally said this to me on camera on the first day he presented his first drink. I've watched, I've learnt, and you're going to see me in Berlin.
Amazing.
And what did we do? We saw him in Berlin. Yeah.
It was quite a moment for me, like watching a guy who joined me as an 18-year-old glass washer presenting his cocktail at World Class Kenya. Remember, like, you know, he was very super shy, young guy. You know, used to stutter a lot. And he, for me, made one of the best cocktails I've tasted, you know. After the stint at the Fairmont, specifically when Barack Obama was giving his acceptance speech, I thought to myself, like, if that guy can do it, because that's the big deal for me, like, you know, first black president, black man taking the helm of the biggest global economy, that was a big deal. When I watched that whole thing, I wrote my resignation, and I handed it into HR, and I started my mobile bar company. Anybody in the business room that wants to hear about growth, wants to hear about, like, you know, well, where you're going to go, how much is it worth, and, you know, asset base, And while all of that stuff is incredibly important, I get that. purpose is a big thing for me as well. You know, there's the why. You know, I think that one of the things that we didn't realize when we started the bar company was that we were selling integrity. Yeah, I didn't know that we had an issue in Kenya of like caterers who didn't necessarily have professional bartenders. You know, it's definitely a big thing at Aqueous. Like, you know, when we're working, we're working, and it's the client's requests and needs are important. They come first, you know. And in addition to that, every Wednesday, Thursday, you know, during the season, we have not during the season, but during the year, we have free training. Yeah, so you can walk in off the street and learn how to become a mixologist at at the pool house. Anybody. It's nice to see some of the bigger brands, you know, on the planet coming to Kenya and giving people those opportunities and taking people over to Tails and taking them over to host countries, to Ireland, to the Jameson distillery and stuff. That stuff is super important, you know, because a lot of, you know, for a lot of those guys, there was no way to have done that otherwise. To maybe take a holiday and go to Ireland and see the you know, the Jameson distillery. You know what I mean? So yeah, no, it's a very positive thing, you know. So Aqueous is definitely driven by purpose, you know, and we hope it continues to be that sort of scion, this base of the best mixologists in town.
the struggle that makes you who you are. You see, the way you struggle, you can't expect to immediately leave school, get a good job and start earning $1 million. You can't. Yeah, you have to start somewhere. So what I can tell to the bartenders, just keep struggling. It will all work out.
Painting with Paul and Joseph in the Nairobi Bar School. We're going to be back soon to finish the job. But I want to say thank you so much for the two guys for letting us be a part of the process. Thank you so much. I'll give you one of them. I'll give you one of them. Which one's the clean elbow?
They're all dirty, man. I think it's boom.